All right, 3 o'clock. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Little summertime since Memorial Day is the official start of summertime here in Michigan. We're very excited about that. The weather is beautiful today. Hope it's beautiful where you're at. So we're going to kind of talk about, well, Dash is going to time me out. Let me close that. We're going to talk about ListHub, ListTrac, ListSync, why we have multiple, why they're different, all kinds of good information there. Let me just mute somebody. There we go. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. There will be some celebrating going on later. So this is one of my favorite quotes. If confusion is the first step to knowledge, I must be a genius. I find myself confused often, and especially when it comes to ListHub, ListTrac, and our listing syndications. So let me share this flow chart. Now for our new Premier family, you're not actually part of the ListHub, that account that we have at the Schmitz yet. You will once Moxie's up and running, so probably in about a month's time. This flowchart will also be part of how your operation is. But for right now, you probably have just the free ListHub version that operates just a little bit differently and doesn't have the seller reports attached to it. But that will be coming to you shortly. And I know you're hearing that a lot. It's coming shortly, but you know, we're getting everything up and running as fast as we can. So this is current state as of last week. Realogy is still feeding Zillow the listing syndication from ListTrac. I apologize, ListSync. But Zillow has decided to not pick it up. So Zillow has decided, nope, sorry, Realogy, we're not going to take your feed. We're not going to put the agent branding with the logos on our listings anymore. Not certain why. We still haven't heard why, but that is the current state of where we're at. So as of right now, the local MLSs have syndication agreements with Zillow for the most part. We did have one here in Michigan we had to turn on. But in every region, we've seen that the local MLS is now feeding Zillow, which Trulia and Zillow are the same company. So it's feeding Trulia as well. We have been told by the brand, by Realogy, that will not affect the reporting that we see out of ListTrac. So I'll show you that product in a minute. But they did say that they will still continue to show the views for Zillow and Trulia on their product ListTrac. So the local MLS feeds Account Tech. It also feeds ColdwellBanker.com, which is essentially Zap. Those are all IDX feeds direct from the MLS to ColdwellBanker.com. It does feed MoxieWorks, soon to be in Premier, but everywhere else is currently doing that, which then feeds our ListHub. And that's all of our syndication, 900 websites to everybody except for Zillow and Trulia. And then it also feeds, of course, like we said, Zillow and Trulia. So from Account Tech, it does go to Transaction Plan, which is the same company as Account Tech. It's just that web-based portal that all the media is housed in. And that time it feeds Dash, which does feed the ColdwellBankerLuxury.com, ListSync, and ListTrac. So the important part of why that's important is if it's not showing up on ColdwellBankerLuxury.com, the first thing you want to check is Account Tech. On the features page, you want to add that feature. And if you're not certain how to do that, just reach out to me and I can send you the screenshot that I have on how to check that in Account Tech. Because if you change it in Dash, the next time Account Tech feeds over to Dash, it'll overwrite that. So we do need to launch that in Account Tech to mark it as Global Luxury. So that is our flowchart. I just recently updated it, so I'll make sure that we get it into Schmidt Resources in the ASC tab shortly after the training. So let's talk about ListHub. Recently, we were able to get Paradise listings flowing. Once we activated Moxie, they do flow through to ListHub. So all of our listings are in here. And this does have premium access for the agents to be able to send seller reports out to their sellers of their views. So if you go into inventory as an agent, they would be able to set up these seller reports. Now, to confuse things more, CB Exchange has a link to ListHub, but this is not the premium Schmidt provided ListHub. They do need to go direct to listhub.com in order to access their premium. Now, when they first have their first listing with us, it will shoot them an invite direct from ListHub and that they can set up their account. So they do choose their own username. They can choose their own password. If your agents don't know what that username and password is, they can reach out to me or you can reach out to me. I can go into the premium ListHub account and relaunch that invite. Now, again, keep in mind this does not count for Premier yet. So Paradise, Sunstar in Florida, Schmidt Realty, Schmidt Family Companies, Ruth in Ohio, and AJS Schmidt, Woodland Schmidt, and Schmidt Realtors in Michigan. That is what they would want to do. Just have them reach out to me. They do have to have an active listing in order to do that. So we just need to make sure that they have an active listing.
Is our camera on? No, I didn't turn it off.
So do encourage them to not click into this ListHub, but to reach out and get their username and password for their premium account. So the seller email, I did have a question, so let me open that up. Kelly asked, if an agent does not make a ListHub account, will it not show? I can still see them in the back end. It shows them as invited. So I know that if they've set up an account or not. So that's a great question. And yes, Kathy, I got everybody muted now, I believe. So thank you for that. So to that question, let me minimize my box here. If they get a listing through, where will it not show? I'm not quite certain of your question, Kelly. So if you want to unmute yourself and we can chat through that real quick.
So if I understand correctly, ListHub syndicates out to multiple websites. If an agent gets a listing, but they haven't created a ListHub account yet, and they get a new listing, what websites will it not show on? Just so I know the importance of making a ListHub account.
I gotcha. Good question. So their listing will still syndicate. So it'll still syndicate through all of the channels that ListHub has. They just don't have access to the seller reports because they haven't created an account, but it will not affect the syndication. Good question.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I can tell when somebody's got an account because it'll say active and give me their username, where those that have not, it just says invited. So if you have somebody that's very confused on how to access ListHub, just have them reach out. So anytime if you are in and you are able to have office accounts as an admin, I can add you. It does have to be done manually. So if you don't have ListHub access and you want to see your agents, just shoot me an email and I'll get you set up. Because you can see from your office view, if it has the two little arrows right there, that means that the agent has set up a seller report. When it doesn't have one, it means they have not set it up. So to launch into that, this is real quick for an agent to set up. This particular one goes to the agent, and we do have a lot of agents that'll do that. And I believe in Florida, Sunstar region actually sets this up to go to the agent so that they can see them. But if I'm wrong on that, Kathy, just let me know. So it's a real easy form. They just fill out the seller name, the email address, if they want to CC the agent, which in this case you don't because it's already going to the agent. There is a standard email that goes out, but it can be updated. The agents, if they're doing this themselves, can update that if they choose to. And then you can schedule it. And there's 3 different options. You can send it out once a week, once a month, or twice a month. Depending on the listing, how hot the market is going to be based on how often you want to send that out. And then you can schedule it right away, or you can have it sent right away as soon as you set this up as well, just by clicking yes. If you don't want it to go out right away, or if your agent doesn't, because they are sending it direct to the client, there won't be much traffic to report, as you can tell when it's a brand new listing. So you can click no, but then schedule it so that in 2 weeks or in a month, they will get that first initial report. There's different themes. There's market comparison with and without leads, and list view with and without leads. It's personal preference, to tell you the truth. My favorite one is list view without leads. But if you want to know what those look like, you can just change the report and click update, and then it'll update your view for you. So you can see the top hits here, and then it gives you the graph on how the market is compared. List view without leads. If you check that box and click update preview, it'll list out more of the sites, and it will graph them by date range, and then gives you your top cities of where the hits are coming from. Now, keep in mind, this is not reporting Zillow and Trulia. We are working on getting that done. We're trying to work on an FTP load from ListTrac, but we're not there yet. So we are working on it to get Zillow and Trulia over to ListHub, but it's been a lengthy process and we're not there yet, but we are working on that. So what I suggest to a lot of agents, if they don't want to send 2 different reports to their clients, as I suggest send them to themselves, like they do in Sunstar, compile the information, and then send it out in a personal email to their seller so that they can have that contact with them. So there's a couple different options there. These reports will go through on this schedule as you set it. up until the property either expires, gets withdrawn, or hopefully closes, goes under contract and then closes. So again, that's launched from the inventory screen. And if you're an admin that wants to get in here and look at your agent's listings, just shoot me an email if you don't have an account and we can add you. So that's ListHub. Again, it's confusing because there is a link here with Realogy via CB Exchange, but that product is not the premium Schmidt product that the Schmidts pay for to have those seller reports available to the agents. And then if you go to publishers, it will show you everywhere it goes. So it goes to all of these sites. You can see there's many, many of them. And then anytime there's a plus, it means there's more sites that it goes to. So from the home bids, it goes over to these sites. Once in a while, a publisher will come along that seems quite spammy and doesn't seem to be on the up and up, and we can turn those publishers off. So if you have complaints from your agents that they're seeing their listings out on a certain site and they don't really want it there, send it to me and we'll take a look, and then we'll make a decision on the company level if we're going to publish it to or not. And you can see out of 83 publishers, there's only 2 that we don't syndicate to. So if you ever have questions on any of that, that is found in here under publishers. So that's ListHub. And again, that to go back to our that's not our chart. To go back to our flow chart, that is being fed from this path here through Moxie. So local MLS to Moxie to ListHub. Now we're going to jump over and talk about ListSync and ListTrac. And again, that flows from MLS to account tech through Dash and then over to the ListSync ListTrac. So where ListHub is both the syndicator and the reporter, it's syndicating all the properties and it's giving the seller report. So it's ListHub, one product. ListSync and ListTrac are 2 different products brought to us from Realogy. ListTrac is tracking the views. ListSync is syncing all of the properties over. So that's kind of how you can try to remember that. There is launches from CB Exchange for both of those products. They may be in a different spot on your view. These are you can drop and drag these to wherever you want them. So your springboard's going to look a little different than mine based on where you drop and drag these. Typically, whatever I'm training on, I put down at the bottom so I don't have to hunt and peck and try to find it. So again, ListTrac is what tracks the views, just like the ListHub seller report. And then ListSync is where they syndicate over to. The agents don't have the ability to view ListSync. It's based on admin status only, so they won't be able, well, apparently I can't either. I must be in the wrong CB Exchange. Yeah, let me switch over real quick. Sorry about that. Make sure I get into the right state. And of course, it's going to take its time. There we go. So again, now I'm going to have to find them because again, they're in a different spot. So this is ListSync and then ListTrac is right here. So we'll move those there. So again, ListTrac is what's going to give the agents the ability to send out seller reports. And then ListSync is where those are actually syndicating to. So if you go in there today to take a look on the office level, you will notice that Zillow is still checked because, again, Realogy did not stop the feed. Zillow simply stopped picking it up. So these are where it all syndicate, and you can see if the company is opted in or opted out here. And then if you click on it, it's going to take you to what that website looks like, and that was probably a bad example. So Coldwell Banker Luxury, of course, is here. So Coldwell Banker Luxury is a separate feed from coldwellbanker.com. So keep that in mind if you're trying to think of that path. It is a separate website completely. And then it will tell you if there is an extended network. Just like in ListHub, when it had that red check, if there's extended network, it shows you there. So if you hover over it, it'll tell you there's additional websites. So you can see our listings go to quite a few places. Now to ListTrac, This is the product that's very similar to the seller reports, but it does give you Zillow and Trulia stats. It does not give Realtor.com, but I'm assured that they are working that out with Realtor.com. That there's a lot of politics involved in a lot of these companies, and they're trying to work that out. So we are anticipating, hopefully by the end of the summer, early fall, that Realtor.com will reflect on ListTrac, and then we can make that transition away from ListHub perhaps if we are prepared to do so at that time. But right now we do have both because Realtor.com is not on ListTrac and Zillow and Trulia are not on ListHub. So we're working both ends of the spectrum to try to get these products to report all the numbers for the agents so that they can focus on one. I'm just not certain with some of the politics that go on with these companies that that's going to be possible. But this is the landing page for ListTrac, and you can see I am in at the office level, so I have all agents, all offices. So if you are an admin RSC for more than one office, you have the choice of picking a different office if you want to see just one particular region. There's a lot of toggles in here. You know, you can change day, week, month, or custom date range. So there's views, there's inquiries, there's visitors, and it gives you a nice plot chart. There's also these heat maps, which some of the sellers find it cool to see where people are viewing their listings. And of course, I'm on the overview here, so this would be for all of our listings. It gives you top performing properties on the office level, or in your agent's case, it would rank their listings for them. And then it gives you the most popular price range for that, and that does not appear to be correct. So I'm not quite certain why that's looking like that. But then your agents can go into my listings.
Just first and third. ListTrac, ListSync.
Heidi, if you could mute, that would be great. Or I can do it if I can get this to open up.
Yep, sorry.
Nope, that's okay. So why am I showing no listings? One moment, please. We'll pick on Petoskey.
Jeez, I thought we got rid of you.
Let me figure out how to mute.
You're stuck.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to mute all. If you could mute yourself, that would be great, unless you have a question.
Oh.
There we go, found it. Okay. So, on the dashboard, I picked an office, so it's a little bit easier to read. Go into my listings. Hopefully they'll populate. So your agent, this is where your agents would go to be able to see their listings. Is being quite slow. So I'm going to jump over to reports. Hopefully that will load. Well, there we go. And no data. So I'm sorry, I don't have a report set up in Petoskey office, so it's telling me that I don't have any because I haven't set any up. So if you go to my listings, this is where your agents can go to see what listings they have. It'll give them the stats if they click here. There is a QR code that takes them to the Coldwell Banker website, but nobody really uses QR codes anymore. And it does give them the link to how the listing looks, whether it's coldwellbanker.com or this in particular case is commercial, so it's CBC worldwide. So if you go into listing stats, it's going to load the views, the inquiries, if the property was shared, and if anybody favorited the property. So you can see it gives you all this information on this particular listing, along with the heat map, which that's interesting. People in Kansas are interested in Petoskey, so that's kind of a cool little thing. And this one doesn't have information on inquiries or favorites. And then to set up the report, you can click here. To just preview it, you can click here. So this is what the email will look like when the client gets it. Talks about their property, tells them how many views that they have, and then they can click through for more stats. You can also have the agents download a PDF from here if they want to send it to the agent. I'm sorry, if they want to send it to their client in a PDF version instead of just launching the email, which I'm not quite certain why they would want to do that, but I'm sure there's options like they could insert it into a Moxie report. If they're trying to list a similar home, they can take that information on how many views it's gotten and use that in a listing presentation. So there would be some utilization of that product there. And then you can refine their criteria being used for the similar homes, because on the report, it does well, normally it gives you similar home information, but apparently this one doesn't have one. So you can change how that is on here. You have these options to change what those comps are being used for their seller reports. And then to set it up by clicking here, you just fill in name, email address, if you want to CC the agent. And then if you want to include metrics from competing brokers or not. And then you can set the cadence just like you can in ListHub. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and then also you can send it immediately as well if you want to. And again, just like in ListHub, you can change the verbiage on the body of the email. Let me check if I have questions. Kathy is getting an error on ListSync. I might have to check your access, Kathy. So if you want to shoot me a quick email, that way I won't forget. I'll check on that and make sure that we can get you in there. And Cynthia's having issues getting your listings to show up on ListTrac, and you're not able to set up seller reports. If you could check Dash, Cynthia, and make sure that they are showing in Dash. It may be an issue with Account Tech since we are feeding it from Account Tech now. So if you could send me a few MLS numbers and let me know if they're in Dash and not in ListTrac or not in both, then we can start troubleshooting that. So I appreciate you sending those across and we can do some troubleshooting there.
Okay, thank you.
And when you say you aren't able to set up seller reports, is it giving you an error or is it just because?
No, so Sharon and I were on the phone yesterday kind of just checking a few because ever since we switched to Account Tech, when we go to ListTrac and we just try to pull up the actual listing, we can't even get the listing to pull up.
Okay. And have you been able to see if they're in Dash?
I haven't checked Dash because I guess I just, assuming we were done, I guess my brain was thinking we were done with Dash, so I wasn't like fully going there, but we kind of thought we were able to use the new system already, but then now hearing today that it's going to be a month, I guess we're going to definitely have to figure something out with ListTrac and why it's not going up.
No, I'm sorry. Moxie doesn't affect ListTrac. Moxie, when we roll out,
like with the new system, I didn't think we were going to be using ListTrac at all anymore, regardless, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but we definitely, I have agents at the Santa Monica office that are like, where's my seller reports?
Right. No, it very much could be a feed issue since we set up the new feeds with Account Tech. Even though you shouldn't have to use Dash, it's the first step to see where the issue lies. So if you want to just send me some MLS numbers that aren't in ListTrac, I can just do some troubleshooting and we'll make sure that our feeds are up and running. And then if it's a bigger issue, we can go to the Account Tech support team and have them correct the feed.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Because it looks like Rose is having the same issue as well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And she said that her listings aren't showing up in Account Tech. So it could be an MLS ID that got missed on an agent. So just send through some of those MLS numbers and we'll troubleshoot that. Because every listing should go from MLS to Account Tech to Dash and then end up in ListSync, ListTrac. So please send those across and we'll get that up and running. And then when we get Moxie up and running, your agents will have a choice if they want to use one, the other, or both.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and Tom, okay, Rose, if Tom sent me those, then we've already sent those into Account Tech because everything on our end looked right. So I will make sure I check for a ticket update on that and get back to you and Tom. So thank you for that. Any other questions or concerns? Issues in your areas? You can unmute or type me a chat. Okay, well, I will load this. Nope, I keep popping up the wrong one. I will load the flowchart into the ASC Square in Schmidt Resources so that you'll have it in case you are trying to troubleshoot locally why some of these listings aren't showing up. And then, of course, you can always shoot me an email and we can figure it out from there. So I appreciate everybody's time today. It's a gorgeous day here in Northern Michigan. I hope it is where you're at, and enjoy your long weekend coming up. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.